However, these entrepreneurs did more than just. However, these entrepreneurs did things that advanced technology and gave us things that we still use today. That's why we say they are captains of industry.
What do Jim Fisk and Andrew Carnegie have in common? They all tried to improve their profits in companies, not caring what effect they had on other people, making them rob again.
Many of these people try to look like pro captains, but played people and made them do dirty jobs for the success of the company.
US Steel became the first billion-dollar company in the world. Their production and size allowed them to compete in the global market. Entrepreneurs like Carnegie and Morgan helped this happen further, allowing the economy to grow.
3, 2, 1.
In 1869, Jay Gould and Jim Fisk basically cornered the gold market by bribing the U.S. Treasury, the U.S. Treasury Secretary into not releasing gold into circulation, and it drove up the price of gold. And they were basically hoarding that, and that's a very bad because the economy was not going to grow that much. Not many people would rise to be rich, and this clearly shows that they're robber barons, and this did not help the economy. It actually decreased the economy.
During the Gilded Age, the U.S. economy grew at a fantastic rate. Factory output increased by 180%. Railroads increased in miles by 113%. Steel production grew over 10 million tons per year by 1900. Every part of the U.S. economy expanded due to the advances and in inventions and technology. The class allowing many families to buy homes and become more active, or wages increasing by 20%, that led to people becoming part of the middle age. So that didn't really destroy the economy.
I was talking about the gold market and by Jay Gould and Jim Fisk. I was not talking about the increasement of class. This obviously shows gold being hoarded by them. Obviously it increases the value and the economy doesn't grow. What were you talking about? I don't know what part you were talking about, but that clearly doesn't show us about Jay Gould and Jim Fisk.
I was talking about the economy because you said it was decreasing from the gold. You said it. That's what you said.
But from which people and from which citation?
She just said it.
But you said that when they were hoarding the gold, you said that the economy decreased, but right here it just said that during the business of steel production, railroads, and all that stuff, it increased the economy. So I don't.
But that's the business of steel.
Yeah, but you're saying.
But we're talking about gold.
But you're saying the whole economy decreased off that gold being hoarded. She just explained
that
it wasn't.
She never said
I'm talking for the topic of gold that it decreases.
All right.
About steel.
Pause.
JP Morgan had loaned the U.S. Treasury $65 million to safeguard the collapsing of the government. By donating this money to the Treasury, he helped the government and he kept it growing. So this proves that JP was a captain of industry because he was giving back to the government so it could help the economy better.
Rebuttal? Go.
I see what you're saying, but in number 2 on the sheet, it says that the size of the directory of the U.S. Steel allowed the U.S. to completely vote against countries such as Britain and Germany, which means that they went against each other. John Rockefeller, he had restored spies, which made his image of himself worse, and he got more money from it, because if you see the point of spies, it's to look in other countries and like kind of get their information, which had affected the economy because of the health and the power. And he honestly didn't care about people's actions, not that he looked into it, but he only thought for himself, which made other people look bad, and people had suffered from his actions.
Between 1860 and 1890, over 400,000 patents were issued. These entrepreneurs promoted these new technologies, giving us many opportunities to make inventions we still use today. So that's why they are captains of industry.
It says steamboats and railroad tycoons, like that they cut shipping rates at a point where the steamboat and railroad companies could not compete and were forced out of business.
Wait, how does that relate?
Because you said that the economy and how the inventions of things will increase.
Vanderbilt cut shipping rates, and to the point that other steamboats and railroad companies had to were forced out of business. Vanderbilt only did this to improve his company and have greater economy, not caring about the other and the people that used other.
Rebuttal.
Well, the entrepreneurs had to do anything to keep their business strong. So if they raised the prices into the business, they had to do it. So it was kind of like one of the quotes is like survival to the fittest. So if you couldn't keep up with the prices and that, then you're out of business. That's just the way it goes.
Response. Go ahead.
But you guys are captain of industry. You're supposed to be for the side that they helped an increase in the government. Forcing out of business is a negative impact to people in the economy.
Response.
Although that's true, but just like what Natalia said, if you don't raise any of your prices, how are you supposed to
That's
do it?
business, not friendship.
Yeah, it's not like you're supposed to be friendly with your enemies.
Okay, so let's think about it this way. There's 100 companies, and he beats them all. Out of all those companies, since he's cutting shipping rates and forcing them out of business, if those companies are getting forced out of business and they're decreasing by an amount eventually, not many people there's gonna be less people traveling, and they're not gonna have the amounts to go through places, since there's just a little bit amount of now steamboats, since he's getting them out of business, and that's not helping the placing of travel.
But think about it this way. If he actually raises the shipping rates and he makes more money, he gets to expand. He can do more with that money, meaning he can make more steamboats. So whatever they had, he replaced.
Let's also think about it this way, adding on to Johnny. Since he's cutting off the amount of rates from getting the steamboats shipping and things like that, that means that it's more for them. The reason why they went out of business is because their price rates were so high. So since this man, he cut off his price rates, it kind of made it better for him because more people had the money and they had everything that they needed to buy it.
Don't you think that it was a negative impact? Because him himself was the negative impact to the industry. So don't you think that from him driving people out of business, even if it was for a reason, don't you think that he would do negative things with the things?
Yes, it is negative, but again, that's just the way business goes. And if they were decreasing in their business rates, then he could have easily bought the company to save them. So even if it wasn't theirs, at least the company was still growing into helping us. It doesn't matter about them because they're losing. So whatever the company was doing, it would help us instead of them.
And also the fact that people who probably got fired off of that job were probably rehired into the man's new company, of course.
Two things back to what Johnny and Kayla said before. You were claiming that he's gonna go and substitute it by building more steamboats, but according to back the history, I didn't think that anywhere it said that, and we can't make assumptions about this. And before also, making profit more and more, but that profit more and more is coming through going to his own profits for himself to use, and not for the economy to grow, basically.
Yes, but it did say that he did cut his prices off, and it did say that the other people had to go out of business because the other man was making more money. As given by my peers and the evidence given that explains how entrepreneurs are captains of industry is correct. Thanks to entrepreneurs Morgan, Carnegie, and others, they have given things that not only has helped us in the past, but has continued on to the future.
You can see that people have clearly helped their economy and advance in their own ways. And some people believe that you gotta do what you gotta do to achieve what you need in life. But these entrepreneurs clearly went too far and crossed the line by using people and sending spies on their competition.
These people that Lisa has stated before in the past minutes have been robbers, barons, because of the negative effects of the Delta economy override the positive effects of it.
So the winner of yesterday's debate, we all chose the robber barons because the captain's side kept repeating themselves and the robber barons had good statements and great rebuttals. We all chose the robber barons because the captain's side kept repeating themselves, and the robber barons had good statements and great rebuttals.
John D. Rockefeller, Standard Oil Company, Andrew Carnegie's Steel, Cornelius Vanderbilt's New York Central Railroad System, J.P. Morgan's banking. All these names have in common that they were all a part of the most important people in America's economic history. No matter what they did or said that was questionable, there's no doubt that these people had a huge effect on industry in America, industry and economy in American history, then and now. For example, Carnegie Steel Company was what was probably looked at as the basis of anything regarding the steel industry today. Vanderbilt's railroad system was a crucial development at that time, and it was pretty much like a modern day UPS truck. They were both what Americans depended on for fast, easy transportation of materials, etc. So we can definitely picture the impact that these men had on the economic shaping of the industry then and now.
Although the acts of some of these powerful men were questionable, what they did a lot of the time was a natural response to the competition they were faced with. Nonetheless, these business leaders and their generous contribution to the society made up for the more debatable part of their work.
Interpreters of the Gilded Age are all scum and robbers, also known as robber barons. Everything they did destroyed the poor and made them richer. Not only did they hurt the poor, but they also did everything in their power to stop others from being as successful as them. Now, even though these business leaders did help the economy and did America stronger by their work, it does not mean that their tactics in doing so were questionable.
In 1901, J.P. Morgan's U.S. Steel was the first billion-dollar company in the world with an authorized capitalization of $1.2 billion. The size and productivity of U.S. Steel allowed the U.S. to compete globally. So not only did Morgan give up a significant amount of money, but he did it in a way that contributed to America as a whole, and it helped the U.S. compete globally with our booming steel company. This was a captain move because if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be able to compete as a whole nation, and it took a big role in the industrial age.
Even though Andrew Carnegie donated over $350 million to libraries, in schools, etc., he did this to block the ugly truth beneath his lies. His workers wanted a 10% raise, and Henry Frick, the manager at this time, refused, which started a protest and ended with over 100 men injured and 10 dead. After coming back from Ireland, he then tried only raising their salary 2%. This is bad and proves that he's a robber baron because his workers were rioting over a pretty long time with no money to provide for their families, and then suddenly Andrew Carnegie comes in and sees all of the men injured and tries to seem like the good guy.
We believe that the entrepreneurs of the 19th century are captains of industry. These captains have done a lot of good things over time, but it seems to us like our opponents, our opposing side only concentrates on the questionable tactics they use. For example, the entrepreneur James J. Hill often donated seed, grain, and cattle to farmers who had been affected by drought and depression. This was a captain move because it showed he cared. He didn't have to do this, however, he still went forward with the act of philanthropy. He's giving back to the people who need it most. Yet this still gets overlooked by the questionable tactics they've used in business. It's not friendship, it's business. That's how the business world works.
In order to prevent single companies from developing a lot of money over an entire industry, public officials during this era passed and enforced strong laws high on their agenda that stopped, an easier way to say it, steamboats and railroad tycoons cut shipping rates to the point that other steamboat and railroad companies could not compete, and they were forced out of business. This shows Carnegie was a robber baron as well as many wealthy businessmen because since he made up his wealth, he stopped others from being strong. This also affects the economy because since he donated money for charities, building schools, etc., he stopped others from doing that too.
Like we said before, this is not a friendship, it's business. Things like that has to happen in order for you to win in this industry. And you always have to win. If you, no matter what you want to do, you want to put yourself better. And obviously there were other people that did get to benefit. It wasn't just Cornelius Vanderbilt. There was also other awesome captains of industry and entrepreneurs that did the same thing, and they all won.
If it's business, then of course that's gonna happen, but you don't have to stop others from doing it too. I mean, just because your wealth grew, like, you stop others from doing the same. Just because you wanna be on the top of the list and wanna have power over all, like, you're stopping other people from helping the economy as well.
Ish.
Yeah. You said since they built up their wealth that other people can't. That doesn't make any sense at all because other people choose not to. He bought those. It's just like she said earlier. It's just business. It's not. We're not trying to make friends in business. And they're entrepreneurs for a reason. There's a reason to being an entrepreneur. And having that ability doesn't make them robbers.
Entrepreneurs of the 19th century created innovative technology that we still use today. As was mentioned, before Carnegie set the foundation for a booming steel company, the other countries globally would not compete with. It might not seem important to us right now, but believe it or not, this was very important then and today.
John Rockefeller often used spies and extortion to influence railroads to work in his favor by offering him rebated that was denied to his competitors. This shows Rockefeller cared more about himself and his own wealth than what was right. This makes him a robber baron because other people and other businesses suffered huge losses. Andrew Carnegie and John D. Rockefeller were not captains of industry after. After reading page 42 in the textbook, I found out they pressured railroads to charge lower shipping rates to their companies, which in turn damaged railroad companies and other companies trying to compete with those prices. This is bad and supports our claim because it shows that they were not captains of industry, but in fact robber barons because they would pressure smaller companies and hurt their profit, which made them run out of business.
Didn't those lower shipping rates, wasn't that better for everybody else because they didn't have to pay that much, which meant that they wouldn't go broke for paying so much?
No, because other companies had to compete with those prices and trying to get other people to use them instead of the other company. And since those companies were charging lower rates, they would go to them, which means the others will run out of business because they had no customers.
But the thing is, those other companies had a choice to lower their shipping rates, yet they didn't.
And
So
if they,
it's their fault.
if they lowered their shipping rates, nobody would go to them because they wouldn't be making it. I mean, people would go to them, but they wouldn't be making enough money because people would go to them.
Wouldn't they? I don't understand that. I don't understand what that is.
What I'm trying to say is that they wouldn't be gaining enough money because if their price is super low, they're gaining a little bit of money each time that people use their company.
Alright, but you're saying that they're like forced out of business, but you're still saying that they'd still be getting money. So
If they're gaining a little bit of money, they're not going to be able to keep their business open, which means they're going to run out of business.
but not all businesses make that much money.
And then that means that they're going to run out of business and they're not going to be able to keep what they have.
That's their fault.
Wait, these are questionable, but these people have gave back, and that's why they're captains of industry. Because even though they've done these questionable acts, they still give back to the
Isla.
They did good to cover up the tracks that where they went bad.
Okay, but like in life, I know you do bad things. I sometimes do bad things too. Does that make us bad people? Totally. No, it does not. I know that I've done bad things, but I'm not a bad person. You guys keep making this a relevant point also that they had to do this and they're kicking other people out of the business. That's the way it works in anything in life. You have to compete to get where you want to be.
I'd like to go back on topic. So these people had to drop their shipping rates so low just to compete with these prices. I mean, these other shipping companies. If they drop their prices low enough, they're not going to be able to create enough money to be able to keep their business going.
Never mind. So like I said, they had to compete. They had to compete somehow. They did have to lower those prices. They had to compete to get where they wanted to be.
Alright.
Go ahead, Isla.
Say I have $10 and you have 1.
Okay.
Every day, I get 10, you get 1. How are you gonna survive out of $1? You're not gonna be able to buy a sandwich to eat.
Well, I don't eat sandwiches. Second of all, like that's not the way it worked. That's not the way it worked. These were all millionaires. These were all people that were making a lot of money regardless. It's just that they wanted to be better than the other one.
Can
I just use an example?
Quickly.
So like we all know McDonald's and Burger King. They go at it. They compete. They lower their prices. People will go to Burger King because it's like, oh my god, they have like these new Cheetos, macaroni, whatever. And then McDonald's comes up with something new. They always compete, and one day maybe Burger King will go out of business. And that's just how it works.
Yeah.
That's just how it works.
Think of it this way. Some people, the opposing team, claim that the bad overlooks the good. But we all do bad things sometimes and those are not that good. But doesn't mean we're bad people. So the good things sometimes overrule the bad. In the same way, these business leaders have done amazing things for America and overcome the bad things. Juries, take note, take note on the right vote. Thank you very much.
In conclusion to our argument, all of these so-called captains of industry were really wrong with their hands.
Our 3 pieces of evidence support our claim because money can make people greedy, as you guys can tell. Anyways, thanks for paying attention.
And for today, it was like really split decision because like in the beginning, I feel like we felt like both of you could have rebutted, and like none of you guys really did that. But then at the end, it got better, and then we picked Flower Berries too.
From both sides, like y'all both have flaws, y'all both brought up good points. Like Isla brought up an everyday situation which made sense, and then like see, you basically started repeating everything that you had said before, and then Ismail had basically repeated what you said.
But I mentioned that
it's still the same thing, because regardless, all you guys kept mentioning is business, not friendship. And that doesn't only mean every single